As a kid, I was scared about and afraid that my salvation wasn't secure. So I struggled with fear about salvation. Like, was I saved or was I not? Because the church I grew up in wasn't super clear about how you attain salvation. Like, it was very confusing to me, whether it was just the one sentence you say, I asked Jesus into my heart, blah, 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 or if it was just the dunk that you did in the baptismal, or if it was how you lived your life. And it was very confusing to me. And so I had this fear of, I didn't know if I was going to be saved or not. I also, when I got older, had a fear of being single the rest of my life. So I had gone through 10 years of man hell, and so there's so much to unpack there. There was a lot there that by the end of 10 years, I wondered if marriage was even in my future, if children were in my future, and I felt like I was maybe destined to be single, and that scared me, and I had a lot of fear, thinking, if Papa was going to ask me to marry, some dude I didn't love, somebody who was fat and big and just like somebody that would just turn me off, right? And that's what I feared. I feared that his will for me would be something like that, and I would have to deal with that. That was a big fear. And then through the course of my 10 years of man hell, I contracted a little disease that is a nuisance, and it's just a consequence of sin, but it really, really affected pregnancy and affected how I felt about that. So I had a lot of fear with that, fear with, was my sin going to harm my children, my unborn child and stuff. There was a lot of fear with that I struggled with big time. And then there was fear with Down syndrome. I can't even explain the amount of unknowns there for a mom, and how it can camp out in your heart and cause fear of the future, fear of what's my life going to look like now, fear of what's her life going to look like. So there was a lot of fear back in that. A lot of what ifs is basically what it turned out to be. There was unknowns through the course of, being a wife, getting married and a wife, and then there was unknowns with being a mom, and then I had unknowns of the special needs. And Maggie almost died at 17 days old. She almost died a year later. I had ASA. There are so many things there with mommyhood that, I feel like the joy of mommyhood really got stolen from me. And I'm looking forward to doing it again in the future when Yeshua comes back. But fear actually climaxed in my life when I had a company called Inktime Design Inc. And it was a graphic design firm that serviced Christian summer camps across the country. So I worked in this for about 9 to 10 years. I had up to 5 employees at one time. All here in Coeur d'Alene, and we serviced camps across the country. But one of the problems was that I'm not a business person, so I had really no idea. I'm an entrepreneur, but really didn't have the background of business to understand how to build something business-wise that's smart. I was kind of winging it because there was opportunity that came to me, and I just ran with it. And that's a huge Yehovah story in itself. But I was responsible for 5 families and their income, and I was a mom too. I had actually baskets that I would put underneath my desk to have my babies in. I pulled 2 a.m. mornings for 2 years straight, so I could work before they got up, so I could be mom during the day. Part of the problem with the stress or the anxiety and stuff that I struggled with there with Ink Time was the fact that clients wanted to work directly with me. So it really caused problems with growth, because I had 600 clients, and how many brochures and how many web designs and how many logos can one girl make? You know? So when I'd hire designers and stuff, I tried to hire people that design like I do, but everybody wanted me. And so I kind of built the business based on me instead of a business model, which was, number one, not wise, but I was winging it. I was flying by the seat of my pants. I was trying to follow the wild goose, or Yehovah, the Ruach HaKodesh, through that time. But nevertheless, I had so much anxiety because there was so much weight on my shoulders with that company that it became physical. I had physical manifestations of it just anytime. I mean, throughout the course of the day, it would just show up and it would not go away. Like, it was constant. From the moment that I would wake up in the morning till the moment I went to sleep, I had this anxiety, and it literally sent me to the hospital multiple times. Part of the whole thing at the same time was that the roles, Isaac and my roles were reversed. So I was a breadwinner, he was not. I was a mom. I was a young mom. I had 2 little girls and one with special needs, and I was also the breadwinner. And it caused a ton of stress in our family. It also, there was so much worry there. There was just, I can't even describe. It was just, I need a interviewer here to help me talk about this. But the idea of the chronic fear, there was fear, true fear, on if I can't keep this up, what's going to happen, and this chronic anxiety that just would not go away. But I am so happy to say that now I don't have it. I haven't had it for a decade. It's been obliterated, and I want to tell you how that happened. So how did fear get obliterated in my life? How did the chronic anxiety go away? I want you to live at a master level life with Yehovah. That's the whole reason for Kingdom University, is I really want you to find freedom in things that Hasatan wants to keep us bound in. And I really think that going to the next level requires a mind shift change. And I want to share that because I really think that you can apply these certain things to your life. Ask the Ruach HaKodesh to come and do for you what you can't do for yourself, and give you these kinds of freedoms that I actually have. And I want you to have what I have, because I don't deal with that anymore. I don't deal with the stress, anxiety anymore. I don't deal with that kind of worry anymore. And I have so much more going on now than I had then. It's not funny. So it's not that things have gotten lighter or that my life has gotten more, no, I've got so much going on. It's like, whoo, but the ride doesn't scare me anymore. And there's a real reason for that. Full loss and surrender combined with survival rescued me. Did you get that? So complete and full loss of a certain thing. I didn't lose my family, no, but I did lose what I had built. I lost Ink Time, the company. I lost every employee. I lost my home, and I also completely surrendered to Yehovah Elohim, and I decided to not troubleshoot him anymore, because I was a good troubleshooter back then. I could troubleshoot, a lot of things. Ink Time Design Inc., the corporation that I owned, the graphic design firm that I owned, was closed on a Monday after I went into premature labor with Hadassah on a Friday. I actually almost miscarried Hadassah, and that was on a Friday. Isaac and I made the decision that we were going to close Ink Time that weekend because the stress, the anxiety, the fear, everything was just too much. So we went in on Monday and I laid everyone off. And that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, because I actually had, working in my office with me, I had hired, I liked to hire single moms who had babies and stuff that they would like to bring to work. So I had a nursery. Isaac built nurseries in my offices, and then the ladies could bring their babies to work with them. And I thought that was a great arrangement because I was bringing my babies to work. I had college students who rerouted their life for me. So it was a really hard thing to go in and do, but I did that, which was the first step. But full loss and full surrender and survival is what rescued me. Okay, so when we lost everything and we moved to the woods, into the mountains, into the teepee, I got freedom from the computer, which was huge. It was absolutely huge. I got freedom from the mortgage. We let it all go. So we actually got acquitted from that, which was huge, because that was the real heavy burden that we were bearing. We got freedom from that. I got freedom from the computer. I had new problems. I had a new identity in YHVH Elohim. I had complete physical exhaustion. So every night, I wasn't mental all day long, it was physical all day long. I was digging in the earth all day long. I was hauling water. I was doing things that, I wasn't doing before. Before it was mental. It was a lot of just, a lot of communication, a lot of social media, a lot of, graphic design on the computer. It was so there in the computer. My world was in there, which it still is quite a bit, but I don't have I don't struggle with the same things that I did struggle with back then with the computer. So I am on the computer a lot now, but not for the same reason, and definitely the effect of it isn't the same, and I have a lot more control over it now. I was doing exploits for Papa in other ways. I was editing Dr. David Perry's book at the time. We found out, the people that owned the land before us actually were going to use it as an escape thing, and so their plans were to bulldoze into the mountain and create a cellar and a place where they had stocked up on food and guns and bullets and things like that. And we found out that's what our little place was for. So we realized we were fighting war going on over in the heavens over this piece of land. Who was going to have it? The girl who, the family who had, no fear, or the people who had been there before who had fear. So their fear was rubbing off on us. And finally we stopped it. We put our foot down and we just started praying over this land, trying to get, the skies clear and stuff over it, which would totally, it would work. But then it was so strong up there that you could drive out from underneath it, literally. You could feel it. When you left the mountain, you could literally feel you could feel that the weight of the fear leaving you, and you could go out from underneath it. And then when you came back home, you could feel yourself entering it. It was just very, very difficult to live in and to survive along underneath that. It wasn't a palm breach coconut eating time. This was like war. I started to develop a mountain party every summer. I wanted a mountain party to get neighbors together. And some of the neighbors up there, they told me at my party that they hadn't seen each other in 30 years. It's crazy. But anyway, it was loss, complete loss, a complete change of living environment and physical work that just stopped this anxiety. I have not had anxiety really since. So when Papa moved us to the teepee, I really feel like he moved us there, not just so we could find out who he was and really get clear on that and who we were in relationship to him, but also to free me from this very crippling thing called fear. And it was literally at the end of the 4 years there that I was set free from fear. And I was basically told to go to Boise State University and finish my degree. And when I got there from the teepee, we're hillbillies, hippies from the teepee, go down to Boise, and I start school there, and I start to get I start to create Hebrew Roots Club. I go like public instantly. Like I have no fear. There is no fear. There is no anxiety because of the perfecting and the polishing and the purifying and the burning off the chaff that happened at the teepee. I was able to completely throw my care to the wind, not to the wind, to Yehovah, and then just go, whatever you want, what do you want? And I believe very deeply that we must put our light up to shine, and if we don't, if we bury ourselves in a mountain somewhere, that's not doing what Yehovah asked us to do. That's not doing what Yeshua told us to do. So I wanted to like really walk in that, and I did. It just became natural, and no fear. There's no fear. And from there, I went on a tour, no fear. Come back here and start YouTube videos, no fear. I have no fear. I want to do exploits for him, and in order to do that, I have to have no fear, which now he completely took that out of me at the teepee. And part of the reason why we lost the house, part of the reason why I lost ink time, part of the reason why he moved us into the wilderness for those 4 years was so he could get that out of me, so that he could clarify for me who he is in relationship, who I am in relationship to him, and who he is. And that is what's going to free you from fear, is to know who he is. That's what we spent 4 years at the teepee really getting to know, is who he is. Like, he parted the waters for us over and over and over. He made water come from rocks over and over and over. He showed himself so clearly with the calendar for us. I mean, literally, like lightning, thunder, almost earthquake at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Passover, you know, in a teepee. We're like, he totally nailed things for us and told us we were on the right path. It was like he taught us, and I know he was with us, and I could feel it, and I came away from the teepee with no fear.